Excellent speech by Dr. Hawkins, thank you. Just like everyone in this room, I have a story. I've been called upon to share my story with you, and so I will. As everyone here knows, this event tonight is raising money to help fund childhood cancer research. My story is all about childhood cancer and how that will affect me for the rest of my life. I am Michael Albrecht. I'm 16 years old and a sophomore at Bothell High School. I was diagnosed on June 17, 2015 with Ewing sarcoma, a rare and aggressive bone cancer which was located in my left tibia. My mom always said that I was 1 in a million, and I proved that, as there are only approximately 200 cases diagnosed in the US every year, mainly in children and young adults between the ages of 10 to 20 years old. No one knows what causes it. I will always remember my diagnosis day. At the time, I was in 8th grade and 14 years old. I was just recently elected as my school treasurer and was getting ready for a final assembly of the school year. I was scared for that day because I had to read off students' names that won various awards. As scared as I was for that assembly, it turned out to be that there was much more things to be fearful about that day. Sometime back in February, I'd gotten bumped on my shin, which caused a goose egg-sized lump. My mom had taken me to the doctor 4 different times during a 3.5-month period, but I was told it was just a bump and nothing to worry about. I was worried as it hurt a lot and I had recently started limping. Since we had 1 day left at school before summer vacation and I had a trip of a lifetime planned to go to tour Europe, my mom decided to take me to a different doctor to have my leg checked one final time. After x-rays and an MRI, I remember the doctor walking into the room and telling me that I wouldn't be going to Europe. I later realized I wouldn't be traveling anywhere further than an hour's drive away from Seattle Children's Hospital for the next 8 months. My life as I knew it changed overnight. I went home to my room without saying a word and looked out my bedroom window for hours. The next day, I walked in the Seattle Children's Hospital, where I met with my team of physicians and nurses that would be accompanying me on my journey. I learned that I was going to have a surgery called limb salvage, where they would be removing my bone, some of my bone and tumor. They would also put me on a chemotherapy plan that would have 14 rounds, all lasting between 3 to 5 days in the hospital. I had 1 week between each round and spent that week deathly ill from the chemotherapy. The drug that was saving my life was also killing me at the same time. It was not fun. I would cry out so loudly from the brainwashing because of the medicine dexamethasone. It was really the worst. I would have bone pain so bad that I couldn't eat Jell-O. I'd be so forgetful that I would do my math homework over and over and later find the completed sheets of the same assignment in my backpack. I'd be so confused that I would watch the same news program repeatedly and wake up the next morning thinking that I was living in Canada and I had an interview with Whoopi Goldberg for no reason at all. Most of all, I would throw up every time just thinking about the smell of the hospital room, this hospital food, Little Caesars, and many other things not all related to food. Despite all these symptoms, I knew there were greater problems, and despite all those greater problems, I knew I would never die. I never asked, why me, or cried about having cancer, and I knew I was always taken care of spiritually. What scared me the most about having cancer diagnosis was how this disease would affect me in the future. Would I ever be able to walk again? Would I ever be able to have children? Would I ever have health problems after treatment from all the chemo I was receiving? Most people don't realize the many problems cancer patients receive, they go through that aren't related to cancer itself, but are caused by the deathly chemo. For example, I got E. coli, which had me admitted to the hospital for a week. One of my screws came loose in my leg and I had to go back for another surgery to fix that. I came down with shingles and had many blood transfusions and ended up with an infection in my allograft that sent me back to the hospital for 11 days having another surgery to clean out it, causing me to miss the first 2 weeks of my school this year. I was on antibiotics for 6 months in hopes to clear the infection, which I'm still waiting to see if it worked. I went from wheelchair, walker, crutches, and a cane for about 18 months. To this day, I can still not run or jump. I was declared no evidence of disease on February 2nd, 2016, and got to ring a bell from my parents who bought me it with engraved dates on it. I rang that bell so hard, I swear it was going to break. I want to make clear that I am not done with cancer. A common misconception is that when you're done with the treatment, it's over and you never have to worry about it ever again. But that is not true. There are many scans every 3 months that I still have to go through. There is the follow-up appointments checking to make sure other organs are not damaged from the strong doses of chemotherapy I have received. There are always the fear of relapse. But, and a big but, I always know that I'll be okay. Thank you all for coming tonight and to raise money and shave your head for the much needed resource to make treatments easier for kids like me. Thank you.